Show. It was a blessing from God. God put me in a situation where I just thought I couldn't succeed. I cannot type, and I am not a good speller at all, but I knew in my heart that I was funny, and I knew if I could get this job, I could make it work. And people say, well, how could you make it work? Now, this was before fax machines. This was before texting. This was before cell phones. This was before all of that. So I go in, and the reason I got a job because a friend of mine named Paul Clay was writing for Arsenio Hall. And the attitude when the show first started was very laid back. He said, so I got into L.A. He said, I'm over here writing for Arsenio. Come over and hang out. So he said, when we knock out these jokes for Arsenio, we can go to lunch on the Paramount Line. First day in L.A., I get to go to the Paramount Line.
Wow.
Damn, that's cool. I get to pass, my name's at the gate.
Exactly.
I mean, like, this is my first day. I wake up the next day, I'm on the Paramount Line. And I'm over at the Arsenio Hall show. I don't see Arsenio, but they're writing jokes. And I can write jokes. And they're sitting around, reading the newspaper, and such did this.
Yeah.
And Barry yells out a joke, and Paul types it up, and they go to the next subject. And I'm like, I say something. Oh, that's funny, Jada. And they type it up. And he says, well, you can do this. I'm like, in my mind, I know I can't do it because I can't type and I can't spell. And he says, just give me some jokes, man. Give me some jokes for Arsenio. Put them together. So I get the jokes. I call this person on the phone who I know that can type. I get them to type up my jokes. This was before faxing, so you had to overnight your jokes. There was no fax machine. So I overnight my jokes. I'm in Kentucky somewhere, and I see Arsenio Hall do the joke that I wrote. I'm like sitting on the edge of the bed in the room with my shirt and my underwear on. Oh, Lord, that's my joke. That's my joke. And it got me a meeting with Arsenio. Now, it's like, now you go, okay, now I know I'm not prepared. I know I can't do this, but I'm going to see how far this goes, Lord. You wouldn't have brought me here to leave me.
Right.
And so I go into the office, and Arsenio's sitting there, and it's like, this is the baddest office I've ever seen in my life. And he's sitting there, he's got his foot in his chair, and he's got his executive producer, who's Marlon's a white woman. He said, man, I like your jokes. I've been getting your jokes. Thank you. Funny, you got the job.
Wow.
And she said, well, we don't know who he is, but he got the job. Don't worry about it.
Wow.
He gives me the job. But and so I always like, never let what you can't do stop you from what you want to do. You say, well, I want to be a farmer, but I don't have a tractor. I want to be a farmer, but I don't have any land. I want to be a teacher, but I can't go to college. So you've already made an obstacle for yourself for what it is you really want in life by looking at the things you can't do. And I never did that. I never did that. But I didn't do it by myself. It was a blessing. I would get up in the morning, and those other comedians and the other writers in the job, they were so mean to me because I couldn't type and I wasn't that great, but I knew I was funny.
Right.
I knew if you would just type what I said, we both would be here for a long time. I knew it was no doubt in my mind. This is a great team. You can type. You can spell. I'm funny. Let's work together.
I think that is part of the gift that you have. You're on this radio show, this national syndicated radio show.
You talk about blessings.
And it's like jokes after jokes for 4 or 5 hours straight. How did you get in radio with Tom Joyner in the first place?
I was working for a guy over at KJLA's named Rico Reed, and he had a radio show. And it was weird because I'd get up in the morning and write my jokes, and I would hear him on the radio. And I kind of met him because he had like a comedy night at Maverick's Flat. And I said, man, let me come on the radio with you and hang out till 9:30. I'll get in at 6, because I already done my jokes. I'll come in at 8, and I'll hang out with you till 9:30 because I had to be at Arsenio at 10. And he's like, cool. I said, I don't want any money. Just let me hang out. And it was an experience. It was my introduction into radio. It was also him who came up with the idea of doing song parodies. When Tom was putting all the comics that were on Def Jam, just the ones that kind of stood out.
Right.
I stood out because I did the Watch Out There Now. Steve Harvey stood out because he did the Eye. Dale Givens, Bernie Mac, the ones who kind of stood out. He had them all on his show, and that was because of Yolanda Stark. She was just a big fan of mine. She would come see me at the Maverick's Flat. She said, you got to talk to J. Anthony Brown on the radio. And Tom and I did the interview, and it just we just clicked. I don't know. We just
something
clicked.
kismet. It clicked there.
Yeah, and so I called him up the next day. I said, man, let me have a job on your show. I'll come on the air for free. I don't want any money. And that was like the clicker for him. He's like,
Right.
that worked. He said, well, I'm looking for another segment for Friday. I need something else. I said, well, I got these song parodies, man. I'll send you 10 of them. And me, I said, I can write a new one every week, which is, I shouldn't have said that. I should have said, I can come up with a new one periodically. But I said every week. So anyway, he liked the idea, and Friday was my day. He would put me on to do my song parody. And people just said, man, you need to have that dude on all the time. He needs to be on every day. Y'all click. And it works. It works. I'm not even in the station.
It works 15 years later. It obviously works. You know what? We got to play one of your song parodies right now in the Satin Lounge. I'm going to let you choose, and we're going to play one so that they can understand the gift of this man. And it's really a surprise how musically gifted you are. This is J. Anthony Brown at his best, doing what he does right here in the Satin Lounge with KiaRene.